Great.
and RVM.
Great job. And then next,
My name
Jun. Who's Tao?
Yeah, me.
Oh, what happened?
Skip.
Okay. Oh, did I skip you? Sorry. So Tao, Sierra. Great. Do you have the number for this? 950. And then Ruby. 2.2.1.
And RVM.
Okay.
My
June.
name my name I use Ubuntu in
16 or 4. Okay, that's the most popular right now. Okay. What do you use?
I use Excel, API, 3 and
Okay, so you use SQL that with what?
API.
Oh, SQLite 3. That's it. When you push to Heroku, what do you do?
When I push on into Heroku, I use Postgres.
Okay, so please install PostgreSQL, okay? So that you can work with your friend in the class at home.
2.3.1.
Okay, great.
RVM.
Next.
Lloyd. My name's Lloyd. Last name Tran. El Captain. 10 point. I don't know if it matters. Mac OS. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
PostgreSQL.
Did I just type it right though? El Capitan, is that right?
Yeah.
9 point.
9.5.1.
Okay.
Ruby version 2.2.1. 2.2.
Okay. And RVM.
Yeah.
So if to know if RVM, of course you can type RVM, but if you type, you can type which Ruby, you see the path it's using, right? Or you can say where Ruby, and it lists all the places with Ruby.
Okay, so RVM.
Okay, next.
My first name is Tu. My last name is Nguyen. I
Nguyen.
am using MySQL Captain.
Okay, OSL. Okay.
My Postgres SQL is 9.6.0.
Alright.
And Ruby version is 2.3.0.
0, huh? Okay, RVM.
RVM.
Thank you. Alright, last one.
Yeah.
Second last.
My name is Kian. And last name is Dick.
You almost didn't know where the class is.
Sorry.
Okay, that's good. What's your operating system?
Mac OS.
Which one? Sierra or
And
L? Nice, autocomplete. And then?
9.5.4.
Okay.
2.3.
Okay.
Abandoned.
Okay, last but not least, Mr.
I'm Long. Last name is Wu.
Okay.
9.6. 2.3.0. And again.
Okay, great, guys. You see that? Bam! Right on time. Now, what happens, right? Like if you're on a Mac, usually it's easier. I'm sorry to, I'm sorry for Ubuntu and Windows people. Just more Ruby people using Mac these days, and just things are a little easier. Postgres. Now, my recommendation is to use Postgres app, this website, because we're deploying a lot of code to Heroku. This is also made by the Heroku people. And if you download, it will run the latest version over here. Right? This is the extension that support geographical things, like if you do location, longitude, latitude, mapping stuff, and some other things. And they have pretty good nodes. However, you can also use, which I don't recommend, is using Homebrew on a Mac is great. You can use Homebrew to install in your PostgreSQL. But just for PostgreSQL, this website, this app, perfect. You can just run the app. You know what it is. So if you want to read a little bit more, there's a note that I type up here. I recommend people get on the latest version anyway, so everyone is on the same system. So for those who are not, over here, this is really easy. Learn RVM. What the hell does it say? Do you remember? I say, yeah, use RVM, unless you already chose RVenv, but just use RVM and install the latest version. You can have multiple versions, right? And just set this to default. Do you know how to set it to default on RVM? So if you type this, list RVM rubies or list, it show you all the versions so far, and you can say RVM use and then this, but if you do this as default, then it would use that as the default, okay? Now, next is PostgreSQL. I also recommend upgrading it to the latest version. Now, I could upgrade this. Now, for those of you who already have a lot of databases in your current version, I can understand if you don't want to upgrade because you have to migrate. You have to read the instruction because the databases are only associated with the current version. So you have to move them over. PostgreSQL app, they have the notes, documentation. They tell you how to upgrade. So it's not that bad. But it's good to be curious and do that yourself. Yeah? So there's this one. You can do that. Yeah, read this and understand. I love this. It makes developing on a Mac much easier compared to using Homebrew.
Can I ask?
Yes.
Does that app for my app?
No, they will say something about non-app. Unfortunately, this is Linux. You can use the regular way. Yeah. So on lab on Wednesday, a lot of people will run into some problems, and I can help fix. Next is. Out of these sheets right here, fill it out. So I also I'm taking attendance here, right? We have why do we have? Okay, we have 19 people here exactly. So no one who is just here for fun, right? You all admitted to class, right? You're not just random person from up coming in here. Great. So by now you're all like. I know what you're thinking. What am I here for? I haven't learned any Ruby. Right? So raise your hand here if you know Ruby quite well. If you just know it, within 6 months. This is more than 6 months. This is within 6 months, or 3 months to 6 months. This is like I'm new. All right, let's go.
So you did?
I see some sexy hand. Oh yeah. Good. Right. So we'll review Ruby a little bit. I wrote a little short guide. Who here has read it? Read it here? Haven't read it? Haven't read it? Use this. Okay, but you see the. Don't be shy. Like this is good. It gives me the picture, right? I link it on Facebook. Are you all on Facebook?
Yes.
Who's not on Facebook? Raise your hand. So I added you. I did not ignore you, right? Who's not on Slack? Raise your hand. Excellent. All right. Great. So you can read more about Ruby. Give you a little background and culture, right? The class is Ruby on Rails, so we focus more on Rails. In your free time, please read about Ruby if you can. Okay? This, for example, if you go home, you eat too much, and you go to the restroom for 1 hour, this is a good time to this is how you do it, right? But later, things get more complicated. We can give you some more reading to do. Now, you're learning Ruby, so it's not because you're betting your future on Ruby. It's just another language. The best programmers are the ones who are curious. So we're helping you learn something fast. How fast? 8 weeks of this class is, even if you're good, it's as good as 8 months if you do it on your own. Maybe even better, if you do it on your own, you just don't do it. So take that inspiration, learn it well, and then you can learn other things that build faster apps. That's okay. We're just teaching you how to build apps fast. All right, Rails provide you a good structure for that. I have some super boring slides, which is, this Rails stuff here, right? Who here knows the Gemfile, and who here understand what what the Gemfile does in your project. This means you don't know. This means you know. So Gemfile is where you declare what libraries you need to use, and that's called, each of that is called gem. Make sense? And then when you run bundle install, the Gemfile it gives you a gemfile.lock. It tells you exactly what version this library depends on this library at this version, and then you commit. Deployment, super easy. Imagine buying your own host, putting it there, worrying about security, someone's gonna hack it, and all of that. But now you can just Heroku create, git push, Heroku master, done. In the past, it's free to run it, Heroku, it's live all the time. Nowadays, Heroku is not as great, right? The free version is quite slow. Now, Rails, because it has opinions, we will learn why. Understand it, use it that way. When you already become good, you can change it, you can break the rules. Okay? So right now, just trying to understand why Rails is this way. So Ruby as a language, I think you can read the guides. I'm not going to spend too much time in here. And as we do the demo, I will show more. Right? And I just covered those. About the opinions here. Who here has done is familiar with MVC in web development? So this means you don't know? All right, we have a few open hands. Good. Come on, guys. It's not that hard to raise your hand like this. This means I am angry. I need to know. Great. If you don't raise your hand, I don't know. Maybe you don't understand English. That makes me sad. All right. So ERB, we will know it. It just means one of the templates, right? Templating syntax. It means you can write Ruby inside your HTML file. CoffeeScript, yes, nowadays with the latest JavaScript, you don't need CoffeeScript anymore. It used to be really popular. It's still pretty good to understand. In your project, if you write CoffeeScript, it's more convenient. It's quite easy to learn. So don't worry. If you can use JavaScript if you want, but sometimes I use CoffeeScript because I want you to understand CoffeeScript as well. Yeah. Before is SCSS. Can someone explain to me what SCSS is? Lloyd?
It's like a preprocessor for your.
Okay. Good. So what preprocessor mean? It means something, and then you process it, and it becomes something else, and then this one is the standard, right? Technically, SCSS is like a superset of CSS. It means anything in CSS is valid in SCSS, right? It's almost like super CSS, you see? But something in SCSS, as CSS doesn't understand. What is it? It's a nested syntax. You can do inside, this block and this block. Okay? So learn that well. SAS uses a different syntax and it's more like pre-processing. It's cleaner, but then you cannot paste CSS into SAS. That makes it less useful. You have to go and change every line or use some online conversion tool. Yeah? Uh-oh. Okay. Now, as you go through this class, you will see this. Right now, it may not make sense, but always don't be afraid and think like that. What the graph is saying, right? When you go to a browser, you type something and send an HTTP request. There's some other ones here, but what you're doing here is HTTP. And the web server here, when you hit, it's Heroku, but let's say if you have your own web server, that's the first layer. This guy will just decide what route can enter the server so that the web server can execute it. So the Ruby web server is down here, right? There may be multiple web servers, multiple apps. So this guy will tell you where to go. And then now the app, let's say this is a Rails app. You will look at the routes. You're going to welcome/index. You're going to here and here, right? So after the routes, you go here. And the controller takes care of the logic. This is MVC. controller is C, the logic is controller will say, oh, give me the latest 10 blog posts. So go to active record. This is the interface to work with the database. You don't want to call this directly because it's very ugly. Do not use select something in your controller. Rails say, hey, use active record, load from database. Okay, controller then, when it's done, it's like, let's render. All the logic is calculated. Now it's just a view. I want the view to say title, name, blah, blah, so it goes here. Any question about this? Well, obviously, no one understands this, don't worry about it. Refer it, when someone say, what do you understand about Rails? And you just show them this image and say, yeah, I understand that one.
I don't have a web server in my laptop, but when I type Rails server, where is the Rails
Excellent question. You do have it. This actually here, in your Mac, for example, Windows, you do have a web server, right? When you run Rails server, it's Puma, it's on Rails 5, it's WebBrick, it is Rails 4, right? So what happens is, these things somehow get mixed, but localhost 3000, go here, the server is already accepting requests at port 3000, so it gets here. Okay, this is just abstraction, right? Dispatcher. So sometimes if you go to, let's say, logo.png, it's a logo file, right? It doesn't go to controller. That's too slow. It's actually, it goes to dispatcher and go to assets, images.
So the model is active record? The models?
The model, yes, right? The model, the active record is ORM. Who's the person that used SQL here? SQL. You use that. Object relation mapper, right? If you have a users table, then when you have, instead of calling select star from users, limit 100, you do some database, you know that, right? It's kind of, and then you're like, oh, now how do I get the first name, second name, you know? So here you go back and use the active model syntax. It's nicer. It's one of the reasons why Rails is popular. It's just nicer to use. Of course, in PHP, you do the same thing. You do the error. You can call that. But this is cleaner as you use it. And a user can have many blog posts, many comments. That's the boring part. This is what, when people ask you, right, what people think you know. This is what we actually know. That's it. Okay? So, what people think we know, what we know. Right? It's only that much. And so view, don't try to call like, you know, user.find in view, ask the controller to do the work. Okay? So there's more in this. I'll cover this as we do the walkthrough of the homework. Very quickly. What's a model? What's an example of model in your pre-work?
Article.
Yeah, article. Yeah. Article connects to the articles table in database, and hopefully you use Postgres SQL. And in there, you can say article has many comments. That's relations. Validates. You want article title, right, to be present. Maybe you want it to be unique. That's validations. You want to store it to the database. You can have a fake article you haven't stored to the database. This is persistence, right? And there's more logic. How many view counts does this article have? Right? There's some more business logic. Or can you display the article? Display article. You want to display article title and then the name of the user and then the timestamp, maybe in one string. You can do all of that in a model. View, pretty standard, right? Now in View, you can use, remember ERB, you can use Ruby helper. So we'll learn about that one. You can include, so to make the code cleaner, use the helper to produce. So in Rails, for example, if you have a number you want to show like $23, instead of typing $23 in the view, like spend $23, you don't want to do that. How do you do it? Who used Rails before? ERB here, so you say number, to currency 23. And of course, this will be something like article.price or something like, a shirt.price. So this is the helper. It handles that logic, and Rails provide you a lot of them. One of the reasons why it's so fast to build apps with Rails. Next is controller. And controller, you all make the mistake of making the controller too complicated. So let's keep this in mind. Let's not make it complicated. Great. Who can tell me a few weaknesses of Rails? Okay, Lord.
I read on the internet that like when it has like billions of entries in a database,
Okay.
it slows down.
Good problem to have, right? Let's worry about it when it happens.
Yeah.
All right, great. Because by then you have money to hire a great engineer, and can help you solve problem. Anything else?
Something about threading.
Okay, thread safe. If you same problem if you have a lot of traffic.
I have serious problem in developing Rails within controller.
Okay, debugging Rails within controller. Can you do me a favor? Ask me questions when we walk through, and then I can also show you example.
Kind of different than PHP. So when I learn Rails, I feel I have to learn a new thing. And I just feel like it's quite complicated to learn at first. Okay,
great. So it's complicated. Yes. You run a project and you're like, what the hell? I have 20 folders and I don't know what files to run. I need to get a view count. How do I do it? I have to edit 10 different files. That's true. But once you know it, it's actually the fastest way to do it. So pros and cons, right? It's not perfect. So as soon as we come back from the break, I am going to do homework for you. No, it means I'm walking you through. I can show you that within 30 minutes I can finish the homework. Then, okay, pretend. I have to show you, so I have to slow down 10 times slower. But within 30 minutes we can do a lot. It means at home you can spend 30 hours. You must finish your homework, okay? Let's take a 5-minute break and then we come back with live coding.